The boundaries of Cardiff Bay. The area the bay inhabits can trace its roots back to 1790 and the Industrial Revolution which encompassed the South Wales region. With the construction of the Glamorganshire Canal in 1794 and later the Taff Vale Railway in 1840, direct links between these locations and the docks in what was originally known as Tiger Bay were forged. This coal and iron trade resulted in the building of a number of docks. Bute West Dock was opened in 1839, followed by Bute East Dock in 1855. Roath Basin was later built in 1874, followed by Roath Dock in 1887, and finally Queen Alexandra Dock in 1907. In the 1880s, the Cardiff docks were handling more coal than any other dock in the world. In 1913, on the eve of the First World War, exports from the Cardiff docks reached their peak at over 13 million tonnes. At this time, the international price of coal was struck at the coal exchange, and it was at this location where the world's first £1 million deal was signed. After World War II, demand for coal slumped as international markets were lost and other countries developed their own industries. A further blow was the closure of Eastmoor Steelworks in 1978 with the loss of 3,200 jobs. The local population suffered from social exclusion and experienced above average levels of unemployment. In light of this, Tiger Bay was completely demolished. A community with over 50 different nationalities suddenly became extinct. In 1987, the Cardiff Bay Development Corporation was founded to regenerate 1,100 hectares of derelict docklands. This initiative was part of the British government's urban development programme. Its aims were to reunite the city centre with the bay, create a wide range of job opportunities, integrate high standards of design, and establish the area as a recognised centre of excellence and innovation in the field of urban regeneration. The idea was for a mix of housing, open space, commerce, leisure and industrial development. The estimated cost of this regeneration was £2.4 billion. However, the government also estimated that it would attract double the investment from the private sector. The Development Corporation was wound up in the year 2000, with its responsibilities passed on to Cardiff Council, the Welsh Development Agency, the Vale of Glamorgan Council and the Countryside Council for Wales. In this time, they had created 16,750 jobs, 4,800 new housing units, 695,000 square metres of non-residential development, 79 hectares of open space, as well as reclaiming 327 hectares of land, and had either upgraded or built 42 kilometres of new road.
Why haven't you been? Two of you. Why haven't the rest of you been? Wales is alright, it's not shit anymore, we've done it up. We've had development money, we've done Cardiff Bay. Have you been there? Go there on holiday. It's lovely, we've done it all up. You've got cafes and bars, you've got the sea down there now, it's amazing. Shoo, down where the shit was, that's all sea now, most of it.
Bute Town became one of the UK's first multicultural communities, with people from over 50 countries settled here. By the outbreak of World War I, together with developments in the Inner Harbour and Roath Basin, it was hoped that this would spur redevelopment and employment in Bute Town. But it seems not to have. The divide between the wealthy Cardiff Bay and poor Tiger Bay seems to be as wide as ever, although some surviving areas of the historic Bute Town are becoming prime office and retail locations. The idea of the divide between wealthy Cardiff Bay and Bute Town is supported by Alan Hooper and John Pundit's Capital Cardiff. The millions of pounds invested in the redevelopment of the city appear to have failed to address the city's entrenched social and spatial inequalities, particularly with regard to levels of income deprivation in communities in Grangetown, Bute Town and Splot. Indeed, Cardiff is a city of considerable economic contrasts, with distinct divide between relatively prosperous northern part of the city and the southern arc, which are characterised with high levels of economic and social deprivation, ensuring the least affluent amongst the city's population begin to share some benefits of its economic change constitutes one of the city's most pressing policy challenges.
What are you talking from microphone for?
Grangetown is located close to Cardiff Bay. It's to the east of Bute Town and is south of the Riverside Ward. Its predominant land use is for residential housing. However, there is a large concentration of sporting facilities within the ward, including Cardiff City Football Stadium and Cardiff Athletic Stadium. The first major boundary between the bay and Grangetown is the River Taff that leads into Cardiff Bay. The Taff enters Grangetown from the north, heading in a southerly direction. It travels parallel to the A4119 for about 1 kilometre, and then it turns from travelling in a southeasterly direction to a southwesterly direction. The River Taff then enters Cardiff Bay. The river is quite an obvious boundary between the bay and Grangetown. On the east side of the river, Cardiff Bay, there are disused warehouses and factories, whereas on the west side, in Grangetown, there are rows upon rows of terraced houses. The disused factories on the east side of the river are a glimpse of the past industrial days of the bay. The terraced houses on the west side of the river are a common feature throughout the Grangetown area. This is a physical boundary. If you're on the east side of the River Taff and south of the Millennium Stadium, you're in the Cardiff Bay area, whereas if you are to the west of the River Taff, you are in Grangetown. The railway line from Grangetown Station to Cardiff Central Station is another boundary. This time it separates Grangetown from Riverside. The line heads off in a northerly direction from Grangetown Station, heading towards the town centre, and then arcs round in a more easterly direction to Cardiff Central Station, separating Grangetown from Riverside.
On the other side of the river, there is a residential area, in contrast to the more open space with larger buildings and the attractions in the bay. In the southwest of Cardiff, new developments have been built. One is the International Swimming Pool, and another is the International Whitewater Centre. There is also a temporary ice hockey centre in the area, which was previously a brownfield site. Further inland, there are supermarkets and restaurants. The area was previously an industrial area, and was left as a brownfield site following the deindustrialisation of the bay. It is technically still in the Grangetown electoral ward, but is right on the border with Penarth. There is a clear physical boundary, which is the River Ely. This marks both the edge of the Grangetown ward and the end of the bay, as well as the boundary between the Vale of Glamorgan and Cardiff counties. As well as the clear physical boundary, there are other obvious ways in which one can see the changes.
What changes have you witnessed since the regeneration programme?
Well, the whole area has really been modernised. It was a really dark area. There was no employment here at all. But as you can see now, there are a number of places to eat. There's bars, there's restaurant venues. Problem is, there's no jobs for us. We can't actually get a career out of it.
So, despite these drastic changes, you haven't actually felt a positive impact around you?
Well, no. I mean, it's nicer to look at, but that's it. For me, Butetown's the same, apart from, a bit of green space. The houses are the same, and no effort's been made towards us as residents. It feels like they've drawn an exclusion zone around us, and that's it.
So, are there any evident boundaries to yourself between Butetown and surrounding areas?
Well, yeah, the station is a pretty obvious boundary. You've got the train track, and on one side is Butetown, and then, a matter of a couple of metres away, is the Millennium Centre. It's just frustrating for me. We're meant to be a part of this bay. We can especially walk there on foot. Yeah, it feels like we're just not wanted. There's nothing for us as residents. It's for people visiting.